Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Salut. Today, I'm going to bring together several concepts that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. Okay, so what are these concepts? Shit Hits the Fan is what this video is about. And I'm going to start with when it's go time. When you know it's go time, and I answered this in the Q&A the other day, when it's go time, you're going to know it. Right? You're going to realize, hey, there's no police. You're going to realize, hey, there's no electricity. There's going to be bad behavior by other human beings. And that really is the big clue for us. Other human beings, when they stop behaving well, right, you need to defend yourself. You can deal with no electricity, no water. You can deal with no food, no fuel. You know, basically you're a prepper. You can deal with everything. What we can't deal with is bad behavior by other human beings. That's when you know it's go time. You know, you've got your food, your water, your shelter, your clothing, right? Got your medicine, and you got your self-defense. Now, what's going to happen when shit hits the fan? And it doesn't have to be the worst kind. It doesn't have to be nuclear bombs falling. It doesn't have to be jets screaming through the air, you know, lighting shit up. It doesn't have to be anything crazy like that. It can just be people are getting out of hand. Now, if they're out of hand in your neighborhood, they're probably out of hand in the neighborhood over in front of you, behind you, to the left, to the right. Probably not just your city, probably other areas. When shit hits the fan and people start behaving badly, in my opinion, that's not the time where you go out into the street and you shout at the top of your lungs the three people that you like the least and ask them to come out in the street and join you for a conversation. Really, you don't. You know, you're going to want to, in my opinion, stay in your house or stay in your bunker. Stay out of sight. Not bother anyone. What's going to happen, though, is you're not going to be the first one shooting other people. People are going to be shooting each other. They're going to be going after each other. And maybe it's only one shooting a day. And maybe you're 2 weeks into it. That's still 14 different people in your neighborhood that have got a meal ticket. You know, they got their ticket punched, and, you know, except the meal, they're not eating one. It's the worms are eating them. So, you know, what am I talking about? How do we get into this conversation? It's go time. It's shit hits the fan time. You know, and years ago we talked about, you know, how are you going to handle other people and their bad behavior? You know, well, you can't shoot people because afterwards, right, the government's going to come back and they're going to find out all the dead people and they're going to ask around and find out who shot them. You know, what was going on. The government is not going to be able to do this. Number one, there's going to be too many dead people. Even if it's a 2 or 3 week shit hits the fan scenario. Unless you live in one of those great kumbaya areas, and I envy you. The rest of the world is going to deal with stupidity on parade. People are going to get shot. Right? Let's just say your neighbor shot the guy across the street. The neighbor down the street from you that doesn't like you is going to tell the police later that you did it. Right? There's going to be false accusations. There's going to be no evidence. There's going to be no way to understand what's going on. Right? The police are going to be busy running for their own lives in this. So, now, I just laid out the potential for there to be murders and mayhem everywhere. And I just laid out an idea, a concept that nobody's going to be held accountable. They're just not. Unless you want to hold your own trial and get your own set of jury people together and go catch the bad guy if you can catch him, probably getting a shootout there. and have your own trial and then your own sentencing and all. Unless you're going to do all that, people are going to get away with this. No one's going to remember, well, did he shoot this guy or that guy? Well, I'm pretty sure I remember that Joe Smith across the street shot at least 3 people in the last week. Who are you going to tell that to? The police when they show up? What do you think Joe Smith is going to think of you when the policeman scratches his head and goes, well, I got a bunch of reports about stuff and I don't know anything. They can't certainly run around and arrest everybody. Shit just hit the fan. What are they going to do, take everyone off the streets? The idea, the concept of lawlessness and stupidity on parade all at the same time. Let me liken it to this. I come home from work, my kids are in their bedroom playing with their friends, and there is shit everywhere. There's cake and pie, soda cans, and all of them are sitting in the middle of the room. And I go, who did this, right? And they're quiet, right? No one admits anything. How am I supposed to figure out what happened with all of this just absolute carnage and mayhem in their bedroom? You can't figure it out. How can you know? How can you piece it together? When shit hits the fan, say it's a 2 or 3 week, event, there's going to be just trouble after trouble. And it's not just people being murdered. It's cars being burned, property being stolen, people being raped, houses being set on fire. And not just murder, how about physical assaults, right? Everything. It's going to be impossible for them to piece everything back together. It's going to be impossible for them to piece anything together. They're basically going to wave the magic wand of amnesty, say, okay, everyone, who cares what happened? Let's just start behaving starting now. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a bloody mess. What we need to understand as preppers is that those idiots are going to be out there. And I think I've said in past videos, if you get a chance to talk to someone who becomes threatening, remind them that there is law and order, then they will be held accountable later. They haven't thought it through like you have. They're probably going to believe you. You're going to scare the hell out of them. Right? Hey, you're going to get in trouble for that later, and some guy is going to pound you in the fanny as a jail partner. So you better straighten up and get out of here. Right? Do whatever you can to avoid altercations. But still, it's going to happen. Now, I'm now going to tie together Antifa. We now have a situation where we've got lawlessness and chaos in the streets. Shit has hit the fan. There are other rogue elements within our society that aren't just regular stupid people that can't seem to get along, hold a grudge, have a vendetta, are scared to death, confused, worried, hungry, not to mention hungry and thirsty. Right? You've got people with political agendas out there. Let's not forget political agendas. Whether it's the Black Panthers or Antifa. Whether it's a group of women running around with pink hats with little ears on it, shouting that men caused this and start, wanting to cause chaos themselves. Who knows what group is going to be out there? And I really don't put it past feminists to blame men for shit hitting the fan and then try and take it out on somebody. I mean, stupid is stupid. And there's going to be a lot of it. Once again, this is what I recommend. Staying away from everyone and everything. Staying out of the fray. Minimize or eliminate all contact with other human beings because they are the X factor. We know it gets cold at night, it gets warmer during the day. We know that water flows from uphill to downhill. We got all the real basics down. The one variable that's the biggest screw up is human behavior. Now, going back to these Antifa types, or these Black Lives Matter types, or MS-13 types, the gang mentality people, they feel justified in whatever violence comes to mind. Right? Whether it's for MS-13 or a gang, any gang, it's their turf. They feel like they're now the sovereign authority. Whether we're talking about Antifa and they've got a political agenda. Right? They want to take control of everything. They want to create little communist communes where all resources are gathered and they decide who gets to have food and water and medicine. They get to decide who gets to keep their gun and who doesn't. we need to understand that those people are going to continue to exist, and they're going to take it upon themselves. Much like those two little pricks that showed up on Bill Mayer's show. That was last night's video. These were young men. Trying to remember the names. I know the one was David Hogg, and the other one I'm so pissed off about still, I can't remember his name. Cameron. Cameron, whatever his face was. Right? They came on a TV in front of the world and said, "We're the experts." Two 17-year-old boys. We're the experts because we experienced something bad. Once again, it's the pious pronouncement of authority based on what? Their opinion of themselves. We're going to have people like that and shit hits the fan. It doesn't, I mean, if those kids can claim that they've been traumatized by an AR-15, how much of an expert will everyone be when shit hits the fan? I mean, does everyone get to pronounce they're an expert? Well, shit, I heard a gun go off today. I'm now an expert. Right? I heard someone scream, I'm an expert. Does everyone become experts? Everyone, right? Everyone who wants to get in everyone else's business is going to claim the title of expert. That's what we're going to have. We're going to have a bunch of busybodies claiming to be experts. They're going to be extroverts more than they'll be introverts, claiming expert status. And they believe that because they are the experts and they're right and they're smarter than everyone else in the room, everyone else in the neighborhood, they're going to be of the mindset that they're justified in whatever action they take. Now, once again, let's start talking about people and their behavior. When they're desperate, when they're hungry, when they're cold, when they're tired, when they're scared, they're going to look to other people to satisfy whatever is missing in their life, to fill that need, the void or niche. They could have 4 out of 5 things taken care of, and they're still going to worry about that 5th. They could have 1 out of 5 things taken care of. They got food, but they don't have anything else. They're going to be scared to death. So we need to take a look at the way kids behave. Kids know that they can run up to an adult and act scared and ask for help, and they'll be treated differently. The same way women know. They know they'll be treated differently by men in an emergency situation. It's just the way it is. Something about us biologically. It actually takes a willful mind to turn off that instinct to help women and children. When shit hits the fan, don't just think of other women and children, complete strangers out there. You want to have compassion for them. Right? You want to help other people. But there's going to be a very dangerous scenario that's brewing that no one will realize until they become victims of it. Can you imagine a kid like that little Cameron prick who's the expert? And it says, how dare anyone else question our authority because we're the experts? Until you've been shot at by them, right? And then at the end, we fucked it all up and they're going to fix it. That's really what they think deep down inside their little thick skulls. But they're going to walk up to their door, to your door. They're going to walk up like Oliver Twist, like some poor little orphan, and they're going to beg off of you. But inside their head, and this is the scary part about human beings, inside their head, they are there because they are right. And they should be the ones alive, and they should be the ones with the comfort and the food and the water. They're the ones. Don't they deserve it? Because they're the expert. The problem with this stems from the way society treats women and children. And women, I think, are going to do the same thing. They're going to take advantage. Now, I'm jumping around a little too much. They're going to take advantage of their position. Once someone learns a behavior, they continually do it, right? They will, let's just say, they're going to use the word, we're going to use the word exploit. They're going to exploit whatever quality they have for the most gain. So if a child knows he looks pitiful and hungry, he's going to work on that beggar. As soon as he gets a snack or a handout, right? The beggar knows how to behave, what to say, how to act, and they refine their approach. Same thing's going to happen with women, children, yeah, men also. You bet. If they can be pitiful enough or have a good enough story, they're going to use that. They could leave the woman and child at the curb and walk to your door and knock on it. Hey, we just need a little bit of food, right? And they're going to do this. But at one of these points, you're going to run into somebody who in their head thinks they're the expert, who feels like they're more important than you. And they're going to be out there. This is where human interaction becomes the problem, because we want to help, but you know what's going to happen. Let's just say 1 in 10 people is an evil prick, be it a man, woman, or child, and they're going to try and victimize you once they find out you have something that they want. That's right. We need to understand that every interaction with another human, even if you know them, can result in you being taken advantage of. This is the essence of shit hitting the fan. This is where the rubber meets the road, in other words. There are going to be people out there. Now, I'm not saying everyone that comes to your door, shoot them. I'm not saying that the moment the lights go out, shit hits the fan and rules are out the window. I'm not even saying that there's no chance you're ever going to get in trouble for defending yourself. I'm sure there's going to be instances of all those things. But we need to understand that when it's go time, when you know it's go time, when you start hearing the shots, you need to start and have a plan that takes into account the entire situation. Are you going to be shot at? If that's the case, do you have a right to defend yourself? Well, you do now in a law and order society, so when shit hits the fan, the answer is yes, you do have a right to defend yourself. Right now, in law and order, what you possess is yours. And the law will defend that it's your property, and if someone tries stealing it, they get in trouble and go to jail. When shit hits the fan, possession is 9/10 of the law. Did I say that right? If you have it in your hands, it belongs to you. It's yours. And you have a right to protect yourself. And you don't have to give up your property. It could, whether I'm talking about a gun or food or water or anything. But we need to understand that other people are going to have this other idea in their head. Well, you have and they want, so they're going to come to you to get it. And their thought is, well, he has it, so he's possessing it. But if I can take it from them, because my life is important and I'm right. And I had this conversation with someone just last week. They're like, well, I'm going to go around to other people's houses and start shooting and taking all their food. And I couldn't believe I heard it from this person. Could not fucking believe it. I was ashamed for him. I said, are you out of your fucking mind? You think that because shit has gone to hell, right, shit has hit the fan, that you have a right to kill other people? He's like, oh yeah, law of the jungle and all that. I go, the jungle bites back. And it's amazing the mentality people have when they just start considering, and shit hasn't hit the fan, they just start considering the idea of what if. So when we make that leap from what if to, uh-oh, it just happened, and then you add into it all of the other negative human characteristics that are prevalent in our society. It's not like there's one communist in 100. 50% of the country's Democrats. And out of those Democrats, I would say half of them are communist in nature. Someone else has and they want. That leaves you with 25% of the people in your neighborhood, on average, are going to be fucking communist-minded. That means they're going to be violent, self-righteous, pious pricks that'll kill you for a fucking snack. Now, I don't want to alarm anybody. I don't want anyone to go off half-cocked. But just understand the threat potential. And to know that it's not just men. It's not just gangs. It's not just Antifa that are communist. It's the individuals in their thinking. It's an individual. The most dangerous thing on this planet is an individual. Can an army be dangerous? Yes. A platoon of recon Marines? Very dangerous. But it's that individual that sits down and has the same capacity for decision making as a group of 100. But they're a much smaller, much harder to see, right, piece of the equation. They can be conniving. They can be sneaky. But it's their mentality and their attitude. All the good people you're going to meet when shit hits the fan, that is wunderbar. That is great. It's wonderful. You met another good person. You helped them. They helped you. You went your separate ways. You said you'd meet up later. There's going to be a lot of positive human contact and help and compassion, humanitarian aid. There's going to be a lot of that. Right? We're going to have empathy for each other. But it's those assholes out there. The bad people, the envious people, the self-righteous people that think that what you have should be theirs. They're the experts. They're important. They're the victim. Good God, the victim, right? I mean, the victim mentality, that empowers people to take action that is mind-boggling. Honestly, mind-boggling justification for bad action because someone else is the victim. Right? And I've had people say, John, what happens if all of your stuff is taken from you? What happens if whatever? Right? An elephant comes by and steps on all my ammunition and crushes it into the ground. What do? I'm going to figure it out. Right? I can operate in many different ways, and one of them is cooperation. Right? One of the things I believe in, I do it in my personal life and my professional life. In all social settings, I believe that every human interaction should be mutually beneficial. That is, all parties benefit. Taking that into account and knowing that I have a base of skill sets, there's no reason I should ever be in a position where I say, I'm going to kill that guy and take his stuff because I think I should live and he shouldn't. But there are people out there with that. There's little young people that are going to take advantage of their age and their innocence and how cute they look. And it can be boys, it can be girls, it can be kids. You know, how long does it take for someone to become a hardened criminal? And I haven't done this study. I really haven't looked into this. How long does it take? Let's say the businessman who's lost his wife, kids, job, house, car, everything, and he's under a bridge the next day. How long does it take before that guy becomes a beggar? How long does it take before that intelligent businessman who's now a beggar to figure out a way to beg that's most effective? Will he turn to crime? It's kind of the Trading Places, Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy movie, you know. Will he turn to crime? I don't know. Depends on his moral character. And that's part of this equation as well. You see, communism is godless. And there's a bunch of godless, atheist pieces of shit, communists. I'm not calling all atheists communists, and I'm not calling all atheists pieces of shit. I just happen to believe in a supreme being. But communist, atheist pieces of shit have no moral foundation. So basically, they can exploit any situation to whatever benefit they want. And they can justify it in their head, and beyond secular power, if they can't see it, there's no moral authority that they think is going to get them. Inside, there's no guilt, no conscience, no soul. So they can do whatever they want to get by. When shit hits the fan, we're going to see a flurry of all of this stuff. Right? When it's go time means go time. Right? There is shit hits the fan light I talk about. And what I'm talking about is it's not Captain Caveman lasting forever. Shit hitting the fan the moment it starts till the moment it stops. It is the shit. You could be fine 1 minute and you could have a gang of 10 idiots rolling down your street. And they've chosen you to come after. And you just don't know. You're on 100% high alert. It's eyes up, head on a swivel, and you're watching for the bad guys. And when it's all over, it's all over. It's all over. But I wanted to bring up all of these subjects because I've just barely grazed them. Barely grazed them over the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to kind of tie it all together. But I didn't want to leave out these little communist pricks. Because they are becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger problem in my book. Every city that has a college has a communist group, a communist chapter. Or more. one or more, maybe dozens, who knows. We need to be aware of that. Communists feel that anyone who has and they don't creates a victim status for them. And they feel justified in taking advantage of you. That's why we need that defense in our plan with food, water, shelter, clothing, and medicine. We need self-defense. We can't count on people's empathy and humanity when shit hits the fan. We've got to rely on ourselves. When shit hits the fan, if we realize and understand that there's going to be no consequences legally for what we do, criminals, unless you can appeal to their thinking, are going to have that same belief. Hey, I can get away with anything. I'm a criminal. And I need to live too, and I'm just as important as everyone else. Yes and no, right? But they're not responsible for themselves. The moment they look at you and say, you're the victim and I'm going to take your shit, right? They change the whole scenario. They no longer accept responsibility for themselves. They accept you, right? They accept you as the benefactor to their needs. So anyways, lots of good stuff to think about. I'm glad I got to share it with you. You guys have a great night. It's been a hell of a weird week. We got lots of stuff going on with Trump. On the weekly wrap-up, we'll be talking about politics, economics, strange shit that's going on, the potential for World War III. It's going to be one heck of a good weekly wrap-up. Thank you guys again. Go to thepreparedmind.club. We got some good stuff over there, and Jolene is always finding things to put up, little specials, little deals, lots of fun. And it's a great website. You guys pay for it. It's your resource. It was built for you. Take advantage of it. And also, share with friends, family, loved ones. Get people thinking about prepping. As we slide towards shit hitting the fan, as we slide towards economic reset and the potential for war, more and more people are starting to wake up. As inflation goes up and their wages are the same or lower, they're going to catch on. As they hear about this and that and the other going bad, they're going to say, hey, what's happening? They need to start prepping for themselves, and you guys can help them get there. I'm John, the Prepared Mind. Right? You guys are cool. Right? Thank you very much. Get prepared. Don't wait. Do not hesitate. And remember, preps are insurance. You can sell them later or eat them now. But they're your property and you own that wealth. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. You guys be cool.